Let's begin with the foundations. Welcome to another lecture. Today we examine the career arc and decision architecture surrounding Folarin Balogun, a modern number 9 whose journey touches development pipelines, international eligibility, and the psychology of high performance. I am Professor Alexei, and with me is Priyanka, whose questions are often the most incisive variable in our analysis.
Hi everyone. I am Priyanka. I am curious about how one player can become a kind of case study for national teams and clubs at the same time.
Before we get to the complexities, a structural overview is prudent. Folarin Balogun is a professional soccer player who operates primarily as a striker, that is to say, a center forward or number 9. He is known for pace, technique, two-footed finishing, and movement off the shoulder of defenders, with the capacity to drop short to link play when game states demand combination rather than pure penetration.
Maybe the best place to begin is by asking a simple question. When we say number 9 versus trequartista, what is the difference in practice on the pitch?
It's important to understand role semantics. A number 9 is the central striker, often the terminal node for chance conversion in and around the penalty area. A trequartista, by contrast, is an advanced playmaker operating between midfield and attack. They inhabit the interstitial space behind the forwards, receive on the half-turn, thread passes, and manipulate defensive shape. Balogun, while most often a 9, has been deployed as a second striker or a trequartista-like connector, notably under Chris Wilder at Middlesbrough, where he worked off a primary forward to press, combine, and create space.
And the basic tournament terms, cap and brace, just so we are aligned.
Clearly. A cap is a recorded appearance for a national team in an official match. A brace is 2 goals scored by the same player in a single match. A hat trick is 3, but we shall resist greed today. Moving forward, why does Balogun matter now? First, he is a high-velocity case of dual nationality selection dynamics, eligible for the United States, England, and Nigeria by birth and heritage. Second, his career trajectory maps onto the United States men's national team striker question. He switched in May 2023 with FIFA approval, scored in the CONCACAF Nations League final that June, scored again at the 2024 Copa America, and then produced a historic World Cup debut brace in 2026. In simpler terms, individual decision meets institutional need at scale.
Isn't it interesting how recruitment now includes relationship building beyond the pitch, like the US staff taking him to an NBA game? That detail tells us something about modern methods.
We observed that phenomenon. The United States engaged him with off-field meetings, even taking him to an Orlando Magic versus New York Knicks game in Florida. A symbolic gesture that says you are part of our sporting culture as a whole, not merely our next press conference. Within weeks, he scored in the Nations League final and lifted a trophy. Correlation is not causation, but rapport often precedes commitment.
So, building on that, can we now lay out the basic facts? Maybe one thing that surprised me is the origin story.
Indeed, the improbable pivot point. He was born in July 2001 in Brooklyn, New York. His Nigerian parents were based in London, but airline staff would not allow his mother to fly so late in pregnancy. 2 months later, they returned to the United Kingdom, and he grew up in London, which placed him squarely in English football culture, while quietly carrying United States eligibility that would later become decisive.
And then Arsenal, right. Hairland?
Correct. Scouted from Sunday League side Aldersbrook at age 8 in 2009, he chose Arsenal over a near move to Tottenham Hotspur. In 2017, he won the Liam Brady Cup with Arsenal under-16s, and in February 2019, he signed his first professional contract. He debuted for Arsenal's senior team in the Europa League in October 2020 against Dundalk, and scored his first senior Arsenal goal against Molde that November. A Premier League debut followed in August 2021 against Brentford.
The loan phase seems pivotal. Middlesbrough, then Reims.
As we continue, Middlesbrough in early 2022 offered senior minutes and role elasticity. He worked as a second striker under Chris Wilder, adding pressing angles and combination patterns to his portfolio. Then came Rams in League One for 2022-23, where he broke out spectacularly. The record shows 21 league goals and 22 across all competitions, a discrepancy due to cup counting. Either way, it represented the highest single-season mark for an American in a top-5 European league, according to that record. Along the way, he equalized at Paris Saint-Germain in stoppage time in January 2023 and recorded his first senior hat-trick in February 2023 against Lorient.
Then the switch to the United States and the Monaco move.
FIFA approved his one-time association switch to the United States in May 2023. He was called up in June and scored in the Nations League final against Canada, which the United States won. Regarding club football, in August 2023, he chose a permanent transfer to Monaco on a 5-year contract. Reported fees vary, 30 million euros rising to 40 with add-ons, or simply 40, a common journalistic variance between base payments and contingent bonuses. His Monaco debut included an early yellow for simulation. Days later, he scored off the bench. And then, in a challenging early chapter, he missed 2 penalties in one match against Nice in September 2023.
That double miss was rare, but it did not define him, right?
Arguably, it refined him. Injuries interrupted 2024-25, and he then scored on his first start back in May 2025. The 2025-26 season became the inflection point. His first Champions League goal came in November 2025 away to Bodo Glimt. He produced a first-half brace against Paris Saint-Germain in February 2026 in the Champions League. And he put together an 8-match league scoring streak from late February through March, tying the top 5 European season streak that year alongside Kylian Mbappe. By season's end, he was Monaco's top scorer with 19 goals in all competitions, and was named their player of the season.
And the World Cup moment in 2026? That felt historic to many fans I know.
June 2026 at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. He scored twice in a 4-1 win over Paraguay on his World Cup debut and was named Player of the Match, the first American with a multi-goal World Cup game since Bert Patenaude in 1930 against the same opponent. Sometimes history is a circle, sometimes it is a palindrome with cleats. Speaking of style, Martin Keown compared him to Ian Wright, which is useful. A lineage of mobile box strikers at Arsenal who attack near posts, peel off markers, and finish instinctively. It is a helpful heuristic for understanding his off-ball craft, and why he thrives in transition as well as in compact penalty areas.
Thank you, Professor. Before we go deeper, can I ask for a brief personal reflection? Why does this story resonate with you?
In this context, resilience is not a slogan, it is a sequence. Missed penalties, injuries, then an 8-game streak and a World Cup brace. In chess, we say the position is dynamic, not static. A temporary weakness can become an initiative if you solve for time. Balogun's arc embodies that sequence with unusual clarity. Let's proceed to the next point. Three analytical questions will organize our deep dive. First, how did the accident of birthplace in the United States shape the international outcome? Second, what if Arsenal had sold him to Brentford in 2020? Third, what is the future of dual nationality recruitment for federations?
On the first question, the US birth seems like a tiny hinge that moved a large door. Can we trace its concrete impact on his career?
We can infer a chain of causality. An airline refusal in 2001 produced United States citizenship by birth. 2 decades later, FIFA rules permitted him, despite England youth caps and interest from Nigeria, to execute a one-time switch approved in May 2023. The immediate downstream effect included a goal in the Nations League final that June, subsequent Copa America scoring in 2024, and a World Cup debut brace in 2026. In simpler terms, eligibility generated optionality. Optionality met recruitment. Recruitment met performance.
I am curious about the legal mechanics. How do FIFA rules handle dual nationality across youth and senior levels?
It is worth noting the following simplified framework. A player may be eligible for multiple nations by birthplace or parentage. Youth appearances do not cap-tie a player to a senior team. A one-time switch is possible if the player has not played a competitive senior match for another association. Once granted and followed by an official senior appearance, the association becomes binding. Thus, Balogun's youth spells with England and the United States did not preclude his choice. FIFA approved the switch to the United States, and his subsequent official caps consolidated the decision. Next, let's explore the counterfactual of July 2020. Reports indicated an £8 million proposal from Brentford when contract talks with Arsenal were strained. If Arsenal had sold, one plausible path is earlier integration into a club renowned for data-informed recruitment and role clarity. Alternatively, Arsenal's choice to retain and later loan him to Rams arguably unlocked a system fit that amplified his value and experience before a major permanent move to Monaco. Counterfactuals inform us less about certainty and more about the sensitivity of outcomes to early parameters.
How common is this kind of tension? A club considers selling, then keeps a player, then uses a strategic loan to great effect.
To elaborate, it is a familiar pattern in elite academies. When market value rises faster than first-team opportunity, clubs either monetize the asset or extend and loan with a view to development and resale or reintegration. Arsenal's April 2021 long-term deal indicated a belief that the option value of development exceeded the immediate fee. The Reims loan then provided high leverage minutes in a tactically suitable environment, which is precisely the sort of context where a young striker's finishing and movement can be stress-tested at top-5 league velocity. On to our next point, the future of dual nationality recruitment. The Balogun case illustrates federations deploying holistic engagement, from technical presentations to cultural immersion, exemplified by that NBA game. It also shows post-commitment responsibility. After the 2024 Copa America, when he and teammates faced racial abuse online, statements of condemnation came from Monaco, CONCACAF, CONMEBOL, and US Soccer. Recruitment does not end at the signature. It extends to welfare and safeguarding in the public arena.
Are there ethical considerations here, like the balance between offering opportunity and creating pressure on a young player with multiple identities?
Fundamentally, yes. Ethical recruitment recognizes autonomy, provides complete information about roles and pathways, avoids coercive timelines when possible, and commits to player welfare irrespective of short-term results. Balogun's trajectory suggests the benefits when a federation articulates a clear plan while also building human connection. Further research should examine institutional protocols for mental health support, social media risk mitigation, and transparent communication of performance expectations for dual-eligible players, especially in the wake of public abuse incidents.
Building on that, I often think about the narrative beyond numbers. Missing 2 penalties in 2023, then tying an 8-game scoring streak in 2026. That emotional volatility is part of the story fans remember.
This logically leads us to the synthesis. Performance data gives the contour. Resilience gives the color. Club seasonal outputs show the climb from cameo roles to high-volume contributions. 22 goals at Rennes across all competitions per the narrative, 21 in the league. Then 19 in all competitions for Monaco in 2025-26, along with a Champions League goal and a brace against Paris Saint-Germain in Europe. On the international side, 28 caps and 11 goals through 2026 are recorded here, including a Nations League medal and that World Cup brace. The line is not straight, yet it is unequivocally upward.
So moving on to a final thought. Does the Keown to Ian Wright comparison still help us predict his ceiling? Or is the Monaco phase now its own category?
In conclusion, comparisons are scaffolding, not architecture. Wright's template explains Balogun's movement and instincts. Monaco's 2026 streak and Champions League output show the structure he is building for himself. If the past is a prologue, the next chapter will test sustainability against elite defenses across full cycles rather than purple patches. Intellectually, that is the experiment we await. To summarize, Folarin Balogun is a 2-footed number 9 whose club arc runs Arsenal Academy to Reims breakout to Monaco centerpiece, whose international decision, enabled by a Brooklyn birth, reshaped the United States forward line, and whose resilience is indexed by recovery from early Monaco setbacks to a record-tying streak and a historic World Cup debut. We asked 3 questions: the hinge of birthplace and its consequences, the Brentford what if, and the value of strategic retention and loans, and the evolving ethics and practice of dual nationality recruitment with player welfare at the core.
Maybe that is something we can come back to later. For further study, I would look at the Arsenal Hale-End pathway and how role flexibility is taught so that a 9 can also function as a second striker or trequartista when needed. Thank you, Professor.
This then completes our present analysis. Thank you for listening to another lecture. Study well, hydrate reasonably, and may your expected goals be exceeded by your actual goals, at least once in a while.